Actually, Barbara first, and then Ms. Chalmers.
Barbara, second selectman for the town. What I've heard tonight are a lot of opinions and a lot of words thrown around, and I would encourage the commission to bring every single changed word back to the public hearing. I don't care how small the word is. I think Mr. Butterly brought the fact up earlier. What is insignificant to you may be very, very important to the townspeople. So I would encourage you to bring those changes. If you can't bring them written, then I would bring them obviously verbal. As was done and requested by the charter revision when we went through that process. All the changes were put in writing and brought before the public. So I would encourage the Zoning Commission to do the same thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir?
Lawrence McDonald, I'm on the Zoning Board of Appeals, 320 Martown, Woodbury. My point of question is this: I think it's pretty evident that the Zoning Board does not have control over the freedom of speech and the political signage. However, I think Mr. Tom here would agree that once a political season is over, that the sign should come down. I think he's also made clear that in his particular instance, that he's not arguing over the election cycle, it's over his sign issue. Hoping when this issue is resolved, the sign goes down. I don't agree with another comment that was said prior, that anything goes on a sign. I don't think that is something the board should look at as well. I don't think anything said on the board, on your panel, is acceptable. I don't think neon lights is acceptable. That's part of your zoning law. But I don't think you are allowed to curtail the size of the sign. I think Tom Arrington would agree that 6 weeks up prior to an election or to an issue, and then take it down once the election or the issue is resolved, is an amiable solution.
Thank you. Carol?
Yeah, is there a way to get in the newspaper the fact that the next meeting will be happening and changes will be discussed or whatever?
Well, they're all here, ask them.
Huh? Oh,
They're all here, ask them.
Okay.
There's Danielle, there's Luke, and there's Jamie someplace.
Put it in the paper, please.
The hearings are legally noticed, and there's a format for legal notice. Okay, Dell.
Why don't we have a sign?
I'd be glad to pull one up for you. I'd really like to move on. There are other people in the audience who came for other items on the agenda. This
us the right of freedom of speech. It states right there. We have the right of freedom of speech. Incumbent upon the non-abuse of that. The responsibility for not abusing the freedom of speech is incumbent upon the person putting up the signage, if we can use that. Going that way, we come back to what is abuse of freedom of speech. Is it pornography? I know it when I see it. It is. So now you have to come up with community standards. What's the community standard for political signs? They're the, what, three?
the little ones.
The little ones just sticking along with the 3 square foot ones. This is the community standard. If we eliminate so that we are not infringing upon our right for the freedom of speech in signage, and we go with the community standards agreed upon, because we are neighbors, because we are living in this town, and the community standard is the lawn signs, then we don't have a problem. How many? My God, how many signs can you put on a lawn? But it's a type of expression of our rights to have it and not go and abuse it. And literally, I have a right to decide whether Mr. Harris's sign is abusive. If it's abusive to me and my rights, and it's not community standards, then it shouldn't be there.
Yeah, I didn't recognize your work. I recognized the other reporters, but I didn't recognize.
Mr. Chairman, I just have a clarification from Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson, just to understand, because I am confused. The sign you're referring to is an 8-foot wide by 4-foot tall sign that is it says overturn Overton, restore civility. That's what the sign says. What right you said it takes away your rights. What right has been violated?
You, Mr. Murphy, have no right to ask me that question.
Sir, I have a right
That
to
is
clarify.
not a clarification question. You have been baiting and arguing with everyone that speaks here to get your point across. That is an infringement on anybody who may be intimidated to speak their mind here.
You simply stated, Mr. Anderson, and now you're
And if
pointing
you
a finger.
are that confused from all the questions you asked here,
This is out of order, I think.
But
I
I
asked
think
a question
that
about
the whole
what right was violated, and you go and make a
dialogue-
personal diatribe and
Yes.
come after me personally. I'm simply, you said your rights were violated. What right was violated?
But Sean, I think that in view of what I've tried to instill into the meeting, that it's testimony on the changes to the regulations, your question about his rights is not valid relative to this public hearing.
It is. He's
So-
asking
but,
for his rights to be protected by this commission.
Can you relate that to any single one of the regulation changes materially? Because whether his rights are or are not violated
It's relevant
would
to
appear to
section-
me not to be relevant to the debate on political signs or any other regulation change. So I understand.
Okay. Would you like me to do that? I have it's right here on the political regulation signs. We're being asked to vote to restrict signs even further
No.
with the 12 square feet.
Okay.
What we're supposed to vote on 12 square feet. That's part of this is 7-5-10.I. Okay, we're supposed to do that, and in doing this, we're supposed to protect everyone's rights here. I don't understand how having a sign bigger than what's allowed under this ruling is a violation of a right. If it is, I certainly would want to know about it, because the rights of people are not just for one individual, but if you live next door to somebody and someone is doing something like digging a trench that would damage your property, there are rights there too. So that's where I'm asking. I don't understand where the rights are being violated.
Thank you. We got it. Can it wait till the next meeting? Because you're going to have a ton more.
It's relevant to right now. Did the Woodbury First headquarters signs, the aggregate signage, violate anybody's rights?
I have no idea.
They
The
were
question is noted for the record.
likely greater volume
The
than
question
mine.
is noted, Tom.
Okay.
But I'd really like to move on. So I move that we extend this public hearing to the next meeting. I'm sorry, I didn't
Just
mean
a point of record, Tom handed a copy of his letter for being included into the minutes, however, it wasn't accepted into the record. Do you have another copy, just so we can stamp it?
It's supposed to be into the minutes.
Right, but it hasn't, just for us to accept it.
Yeah, I usually stamp
It's
the photographs.
it just acknowledges for the file that we have it.
Okay.
I know it's going to be in the minutes, but just making sure that everything is thoroughly
Thank you.
documented for everything that can
All right, so there is a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Discussion on the motion to extend. Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Opposed, abstentions, 5-0. I did, and it was seconded by the vice chairman.
By who?
This guy, Clark, the old guy. The other old guy. Thank you very much, everyone.